Okay. So I guess you can see the document. So we are reading Madhurya Kādambinī, chapter 1, just to give a background what we were reading. So initially we read how Krishna is independent and Krishna is Akhila Rasamrita Murti, that he is an embodiment of all the rasas. With Vishnu, you cannot express all your rasas. There is not much of Madhurya rasa or Vatsalya rasa. But with Krishna, all 5 kinds of rasas are expressed fully. So he is the personification of all different rasas. So just as Krishna is independent, Bhakti is also independent. When we say Bhakti is independent, we mean that Bhakti appears in a person independent of any other cause. We cannot say, I will do some punya activities and then Bhakti will appear to me. So how does Bhakti appear in this world? The Bhakti appears through another Bhakta. So the Bhakta becomes like the conductor. Just as electrical energy, if you want to transfer from one place to another, you need a conductor. Similarly, you need a conductor or via medium for the Bhakti to transfer, and that becomes the a Bhakta, a Madhyamadhikari, especially. Because Madhyamadhikari is the real preacher. We know that Uttamadhikari and Kanishtadhikari, they don't preach usually. And we also were studying how the Jnana path and the Karma path or yoga, they require Bhakti to be part of them. If Bhakti is not in those present in those processes, then those processes cannot give their results. It is Bhakti that is present in those processes that gives result of those particular processes. Now, if you perform any mistake in other processes, like in the karma kanda activities, when you are performing in yagya, and then you pronounce mantra wrongly, or the intonation in the mantra, not even the mantra, the intonation you have to pronounce with certain notes. If you pronounce it wrongly, then that can also backfire. But in the case of bhakti, it is not the case, because Krishna is bhavagrahi. He sees the bhava in the heart. He doesn't see what you are externally doing as well. Now, continuing from there, evam jnanasya anta karanam shuddhiya dhinatvam prasiddham eva. So before I delve further, I would like to ask questions to you. What does a jnana path? What is the goal of a jnana path, and what is the process of jnana path? Can anyone comment? Yes, Mataji, Sudeshik Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanyavad Pranam. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Mataji.
So, goal of Jnana Path is absolute truth in the form of Nirakar Brahman.
Mm-hmm.
And process is, the goal is to detach from the all the karmic activities and focus on the Brahman. And there are different processes to achieve that.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So the Jnana path leads to Kaivalya Mukti, as Mataji mentioned. And many of the processes you adopt, sadhana to adopt to that, adopt you to achieve that particular goal is karma sannyas. You have to renounce all your karmas. You shouldn't be doing any activities. Basically, you have to take sannyas. And you need to study Vedanta Sutra. We know that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Mahaprabhu takes sannyas, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya comes to him and then he says, you should study Vedanta. All right. Kirtan, you are doing Kirtan, that is enough, but then you should also study Vedanta. This is the same accusation that was put forward by Prakashananda Saraswati as well. So in the path of jnana, you study Vedanta, you contemplate on the meaning of it, and you renounce the activities, you maintain silence, you do these kind of austerities. So every path has a adhikari. Adhikari means a person who is qualified to do that process. Not everybody can go and start anything. Even in this world also, if you want to go to a college, we should have completed our schooling first. Without completing the schooling, difficult to enter into the college directly. So similarly, to enter the jnana path, he says, anta karnam shuddhi, that is, your heart should be very pure. It should be devoid of selfish desires. It should be devoid of, possessing things in this world. So without that, you cannot even perform the jnana process. That's why in the beginning you take sannyas. That's the sadhana for jnana yoga. Nishphala karma yogena anta karnasya shuddhav nishpaditayam eva tatra tasya praveshat karma adhinatvam cha. So how do you make your heart purify? So you make your heart purify by doing nishkama karma yoga. So Krishna tells 4 processes in Bhagavad Gita. First is nishkama karma yoga. Then you have jnana yoga. Then you have ashtanga yoga. Then you have bhakti yoga. These are the 4 things that are discussed in Bhagavad Gita. So in that, bhakti yoga is a separate process. It has its own process and then it has its own goal. Then you have ashtanga yoga. It has its own process and its own goal. But then you have jnana yoga and karma yoga. They don't have separate goal. They have the same goal. The karma yoga is what you perform first to make your heart purify. And then once your heart is purified, then you start the jnana process. And then you achieve. It's the same ladder. It's not 2 different ladders. So here, because the jnana yoga depends on the purification of the heart, and the purification of the heart depends on the performance of nishkama karma yoga. To perform jnana yoga, you should have already performed nishkama karma yoga. So there is a dependency. We cannot even begin to perform jnana yoga directly. But bhakti yoga, that's not the case. Tad adhikratasya daiva duracharatva lave api savaivantashi apatrapaha iti ninda. But when you are performing the jnana process, what happens if you commit a mistake? What happens if you start possessing a bad conduct accidentally? So if you have a bad conduct accidentally, then you are condemned. So we know the pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Chota Haridas. They were in the sannyasa order. When Chota Haridas did a small, mistake, that's also accidental. That's not even so serious. Mahaprabhu actually, gave very serious punishment because, that is to establish an example for those who are sannyasis, the jnana path. We have sannyasis in bhakti path also. But in general, that time the predominance of sannyasis in Bengal was in the jnana path. So if you do slight mistake, and that slight mistake is also accidental, it says daivat. Daiva means fate. By arrangement of fate, you just do accidental mistake. The person is condemned, ninda. So here he quotes a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 7:15-36. Okay, so this is the instruction of Narada Muni to Prahlad Maharaj. He talks about the entire Varnashrama Dharma, and part of that he also talks this. Ya pravrajya grihat purvam trivargavapanat punaha yadi seve tatan bhikshuhu savaivantash apatrapaha. Yaha pravrajya grihat purvam trivarga avapanat. So one who renounces the griha, the home, So Griha is said to be three varga avapana. That means the three kinds of activities. That is dharma, artha, and kama. So these three kind of activities are performed in a home. When we say grihastha, that means a person situated in that griha, where or home, where dharma, artha, and kama is predominantly performed. So the person who has renounced that home means the person who has renounced dharma, artha, and kama is only focused on the paradharma, which is to attain the liberation. So one who has renounced that home, punaha yadi seve tatan bhikshuhu, that sannyasi, if again comes back and enjoys dharma, artha, and kama, savai vanta ashi apatrapaha, he shamelessly eats his own vomit. So when a person leaves something, it's like a person taking out a vomit. When you vomit, you don't actually take it along with you. You just leave it, you throw it in the garbage. But then once you reject that, you again go back and take it and consume. That's very shameless act. So similarly, the sannyasi is condemned like this. The sannyasi who rejects who renounces the home and then comes back to home and enjoys, he's like a eater of his own vomit. Kangsha Hiranyakashipu Ravanadinam Tattat Prakarana Drishtiya Jnana Abhyasavatam Api Na Tatvena Vyapadesha Lavaha Api. So here we are discussing the cons of Jnana path. Here gives the examples of Kangsa, Hiranyakashipu, and Ravana. So all these people actually performed Jnana Yoga. So can somebody tell me where is the evidence for Hiranyakashipu performing Jnana Yoga? You can just tell me which canto and which chapter if possible, or some evidence, some example.
7 canto, chapter 2.
7 canto?
Chapter 2.
Yeah, very nice. So in the 2nd canto, chapter 2, we have Hiranyakashipu talking about Atma. So Hiranyakashipu's brother Hiranyaksha was killed. So all the relatives of Hiranyaksha were lamenting. So Hiranyakashipu, then he gives a description of Atma, how Atma is eternal, how Atma, never dies. All these things. So here we text 22. Nitya Atma Avyayaha Shuddhaha. The Atma is Nitya. It's permanent. It's eternal. It doesn't die. It is Avyaya. It is inexhaustible. Shuddhaha. It is very pure. Sarvagaha. It goes everywhere. Sarvavit. It knows everything. Paraha. It's great. Dhatte Asau Atmanaha Lingam. This Atma accepts a body. He says. Maya Visrijan Gunan, the gunas which are created by the Maya, that gunas create a body, and this Atma accepts that body. So in this way, he goes on discussing about the whole Atma Gyan. So this shows that he is a believer in Atma. So those days when we say demons, they don't completely reject the Vedas. They accept a part of the Vedas where the God is not discussed. They don't accept God. They think Vishnu is another yogi, and then these days also some people have that conception. So those days also they had Vishnu is another yogi and he performed austerities and achieved that position. I can also perform austerities and achieve that position. Maybe even I can kill him as well. So that's the idea they were possessing. So even though Hiranyakashipu had this Atma Gyan, he didn't even show any symptom of that, because at the end, what he was doing, again, going and enjoying the material world, going to the heavenly planets and then, drinking and, spending time with the woman and then trying to conquer things. All of these desires he was exhibiting for the temporary things, which he himself acknowledges. So what does that mean? He didn't even have a single realization of the absolute truth, even though he was a performer of the Jnana path. So this is the problem with the Jnana. First of all, just because you are performing jnana path, you may not be even a good person. You may be a demon. And you may not even have a realization, and you will be still continuing to perform jnana path. So that's what he is, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is telling. Bhakti hetu, but bhakti, it's different. Vikriditam rajavadubhi ityado. So he quotes the verse from 10th canto 33 and 39. Vikriditam. Somebody wants to recite this verse. What is the meter? Okay, this is Brahma Samhita. Vikriditam vrajavadubhiridam cha Vishnu Shraddhanvito nushruyadata varnayetyah Bhaktim param bhagavati pratilabhya kamam Rudrogamashvapahino tyachirena dhira. So the context is that this is the end of the description of Rasa Leela. So Krishna performs Rasa Leela with the gopis, and at the end, Parikshit Maharaj asks question to Shukadev Goswami: how come the Supreme Lord is performing this Rasa dance with the wives of others? It seems to be very immoral in nature. So then Shukadev Goswami gives answer, saying that, how Krishna is supreme and how the interaction between the jivas and the Supreme Lord is like the interaction between the Paramatma and the Jivatma. So that's completely on a different level. And then finally he says this Palashruti, that means that verse which gives the fruit. Anyone who faithfully hears or describes the Lord's playful affairs with the young gopis of Vrindavana will attain the Lord's pure devotional service. Thus, he will quickly become sober and conquer lust, the disease of the heart. So we look at the Sanskrit. Vikriditam rajavadubihi idam cha Vishnoho. So the Vishnu's playful activities with the gopis of Vraja. Shraddhanvita anushruyad. It should be heard with Shraddha, with the full faith. Atha, then varnayet. It should be described also. And one who does that, yaha, bhaktim param bhagavati pratilabhya, he gets para bhakti to the Lord, he gets great bhakti to the Lord. After getting that pratilabhya, kamam hridrogam, the desire in the heart, which is actually a disease of the heart, hridrogam, ashu apahinoti achirena dhiraha, it quickly goes away, and then he becomes a dhira. So here, by this statement, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is pointing to us that the person was already having desires when he is performing bhakti. His kama in the heart has not gone away completely. He still has that, but still he is performing bhakti activity. Ityatra kritva pratyayena hridrokavati yeva adhikarini. Paramaya api tasyaha pratamam yeva praveshaha tatakataya eva parama swatantraya kamadinam apagamagacha. So he says that to perform bhakti, especially, hearing about this Rasa Leela, he was saying that the person with the desires in the heart is actually the adhikari. And in that person, when he hears with the faith from the right source, then what happens? The paramaya, that is the yoga maya, it enters into his heart first. And because of its independent nature, it destroys the kama in the heart. So in the jnana path, it is not the case. If you want to enter the jnana path, your heart should be pure first case, in the first beginning itself. But in the bhakti path, it's not the case. By performing bhakti, your heart becomes purified. Tesham kadachit sattve api apijetsu duracharo bhajate mam iti bhadyamana api madbhaktaha iti adibhyacha tatvatamna kwapi shastreshu nindaleshaha api. Even then, while performing bhakti, sometimes some of the anarthas persists within the heart of the performer. It doesn't go away very easily, for some people. So even then, Krishna says, Apichetsu duracharo bhajate mam. So let's look at this verse. Apichetsu duracharo bhajate mam ananya bhag sadhureva sa mantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. Apichetsu duracharo, a person with a bad conduct, duracharaha. Suduracharaha means he is having too much bad conduct. Su is like very, you can say in English. So he is having too much bad conduct. That person, even then, bhajate mam ananya bhak, if he worships the Supreme Lord, without any motive, pure devotee, right? In the pure devotee, when we say that, when he is performing bhakti, he does not have any motive in that bhakti. Sadhurevasa mantavya, he should be considered a sadhu. Samyak vyavasitaha hi saha. Why? Because he is situated on the right path. Soon all these things will go away. Bhadyamanaha api, one who is deficient also, he is still the devotee of the Lord. So in all the Shastras, this person is not criticized, not even a small amount. Ajamilasya bhaktatvam vishnudutaihi nirupitam. The example is Ajamila. So Ajamila performed so many sinful activities throughout his life. But still, because he chanted the holy name of the Lord, he is considered as a bhakta by the Vishnudutas. Sanketam Bhagavan Nama Putra Snega Anusangacham Ityadi Drishtya Tad Abhasatam api Ajamiladinam Bhaktavatvam Sarvaihi Sangeetameva. Sanketa means pointing out something. For example, if I name the street, for example, in Vrindavan, the entire road is called, I think, Hare Krishna Road, if I'm not wrong. So the entire road name is called Hare Krishna Road. If somebody wants to say, I want to go to Hare Krishna Road in Vrindavan, his intention is, when he says that statement, his intention is not glorifying the Supreme Lord. The Hare Krishna is present there, but he was pointing to something else, But even then, he is pronouncing the name of the Lord without, focus there. That's called Sanketa. Bhagavan Nama Putra Sneha Anusangajam. So, in the case of Ajamila, he was actually having affection toward his son. He didn't even think about Lord Narayana. He was, out of affection of his son, he is calling out to him as Narayana. Even that is enough. That is abhasata. That is an abhas. That's not actually Shuddhanam. That is just a dim reflection of the holy name. Even that is, that gives the devotiness, or that makes Ajamila a devotee. And not only that, that is sung by everyone as a glorious activity. Sarvaihi Sangeetameva. We talk the glorious nature of bhakti of Ajamila. Tadevam karma yogadinam antakarna shuddhi dravya desha shuddhi adayaha sadakaha tadvaigunyadaka adayaha bhadakaha bhaktigitu pranadayini eva iti. So in this way, so the karma and the yoga, all these processes, and the jnana as well, it requires purification of the heart and the purification of the items you are doing. For example, if you want to perform a yagya, you need to have all pure ingredients. You cannot take an impure ingredient and put into the yagya. It should be pure. Not only that, the time should also be pure. You cannot perform in an inauspicious time. And the place should also be pure. You cannot perform in a bathroom, or you cannot perform in a graveyard. Right? It has to be a very pure place. When you do that, then this becomes beneficial to that process. But if there is any deficiency in these things, then it becomes harmful to the process you are performing. But bhakti, is pranadaini, but bhakti gives life to these processes. Sarvata paratantriyam eva tesham. All these processes, karma, yoga, and jnana, they depend on bhakti. Na hi swatantraha, they are not independent. Kenapi sadhyante bhadyante va, because they have some activities are forbidden and some activities are recommended. You have to do that. So before I continue, anybody have any questions on what we discussed? All right. Kimcha, furthermore, jnana eka sadhana matratvam bhaktihi iti ajñehi eva uchyate. So some people say that, when you are performing the jnana path to attain the kaivalya moksha or impersonal liberation, you have to perform bhakti as an anga of jnana. So that's all. Bhakti is a step toward performing jnana and achieve kaivalya moksha. Bhakti is not an individual process. Some people say like that. So even after hearing all these things, if somebody says that, he is a agnya, he is a foolish person. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, only foolish persons say like that. Yataha jnana sadhyat mokshad api tasyaha parama utkarshaka eva alochate. But actually, bhakti is greater than even the moksha, which is the goal of jnana. Jnana has a goal as moksha, but bhakti is even greater than the goal, not even the process. It is even greater than the goal of jnana. Muktim dadati karichit sma na bhakti yogam. Krishna says that I will give you mukti very easily. But bhakti I won't give very easily. Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana sudurlabha prashantatma kotish api mahamune. So in the Bhagavata Purana it said, Muktanam api siddhanam, those who have attained perfection, those who have attained even liberation, among them, the Narayana Parayana, or one who glorifies the Lord, is a devotee. Devotee is sudurlabha, is very rare to find. Prashantatma koti shapi mahamune, millions and millions of people, among them, he is very difficult to find. Indrameva pradhani kritya swayam guni bhavata upendrena tam sarvata pushnata swa kripalattvameva yatha abhignya janeshu pratyayate natu swa apakarshaha tatha eva jnanam pushnantyaha tat prakarana vakyeshu tasyaha bhaktehe anugraha eva sudhibhi anugamyate iti. So sometimes we see that there are statements which say that bhakti assists jnana. It takes the position of subordinate position to jnana process. But that is like Lord Vamanadev taking the position of a brother, younger brother to Indra. So when Upendra, that is Vamanadev, takes a position of younger brother of Indra, that is out of his mercy. He does that. Out of his own sweet will, he does that. He doesn't do that because he is actually an inferior person to Indra. Out of his own mercy and out of eagerness to nourish everyone, he does that. So similarly, Bhakti also sometimes takes a subordinate position to the Jnana. That's only out of his own mercy to benefit the performers of Jnana. And this is the conclusion of Suddhi, that is the great intelligent people. We have one more paragraph. Let's finish that. That ends the first chapter. Bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya iti bhaktehe palam prema rupa saeva iti swayam purushartha mauli rupatvam tasyaha. So from the bhakti comes bhakti. What does that mean? By performing sadhana bhakti, you get prema bhakti. And that prema bhakti is actually the purushartha mauli. It is the crown of the entire purushartha. What are the purushartha? Dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. So beyond that, you also have bhakti. Tadevam bhagavataha iva swarupa bhutaya mahashaktehe sarva vyapakatvam, sarva vashikaritvam, sarva sanjivakatvam, sarva utkarsha parama swatantriyam swaprakashatvam cha kinchit uttankitam. So this bhakti is like Bhagavan. It has, because it is Shakti of the Bhagavan, and it is all pervading. It's present everywhere. It attracts everyone. We see even the animals are attracted. Even the child in the womb, Prahlad Maharaj in the womb, was attracted. And even, humans, the devatas, everyone is attracted by bhakti. Sarva sanjeevakatvam. It gives life to all other different processes of spiritual transcendentality. Sarva Utkarsha Paramasma Tantriyam. It is preeminent, it is the chief, and it is highly independent. And Swaprakashatvam, it manifests on its own. It doesn't require anything else, help to manifest. Chakinchit untakitam. It is, it should be noted here. Tadapi tamina anyata pravruttau. If somebody has, even after hearing all these things, if somebody has inclination toward other process without bhakti in it, then prekshaavatvasya abhavaha. Then we should understand that person does not have any intelligence. He does not have any good judgment. Kimid vaktavyam, what else can be said? Naratvasya api, even though he is a human. Ko vai na seveta vina naretaram ityadibihi avagamaha drishtaha. Even though he's human, if he does not worship bhakti, then he should be considered as a nara yitara. That means animal. He is a foolish animal like a person. And this is understood. So this ends the first chapter of Madhurya Kādambinī. We'll continue from next chapter next week, which discusses about Shraddha and Anishtita Bhakti. Hare Krishna. Thank you, devotees. Stop here.
Thank you very much, Arjun Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Haribol. Vancha.
Wish you a very happy Krishna conscious birthday, Vijay Prabhu.
Oh, thank you, Mataji.
Arjun Prabhu. Wish you a very happy Krishna conscious birthday, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Happy Krishna conscious birthday, Prabhu.
Thank you, Anandabaldev Prabhu.
Wow.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you.
Wish you a very happy and blessed Krishna conscious birthday, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Sadesaki Mataji. All right, we'll stop here. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpataru. Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.